official opening. The introduction is going to be done by the Executive Director of the National Youth Council. That will be followed by a statement by Suleiman Marena from UNDP and a statement by the Director of After Mr. Juara, we have our Executive Director, who is Mr. Lamin Dabo, the Executive Director of Gambia National Youth Council. Mr. Dabo, you are welcome. After Mr. Dabo, we have Mam Job. Mam Job is from UN Traditional Justice Project Management Unit. Madam Job, you are welcome. After Madam Job, you have my boss, Mr. Musa Mbaye, is the Director of Youth and Sport under Directorate of Planning and Program under Ministry of Youth and Sport. My boss, you are welcome. After Mr. Job, we have Mr. Suleiman Marena from UNDP. Mr. Marena, you are welcome. Next is Fatou M. Jao. He's a lawyer and at the same time a Deputy Speaker of the Gambia National Youth Parliament. These are the high table in this very important program. For the benefit of the high table also, we have the composition of the across section of stakeholders in West Coast region, ranging from the National Youth Council, from the Regional Youth Committee, our national youth structures within West Coast region. We have our youth group in West Coast region and other key players with regards to youth development in West Coast region has mandated. So today is a very important day for us by looking at the subject matter under discussion, try to look at the 4 processes with regards to this reform. But not to boil more on that, as far as we have, our next speaker is Mr. Lamin Dabo, the Executive Director of Gambia National Youth Council, to give an introduction of the program. Mr. Dabo, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, Babakari Sane, our gallant champion and youth leader and staff of Ministry of Youth and Sports working in West Coast region. I also want to recognize the various protocols present here this afternoon, starting with the Director of Planning and Programs, Minister of Youth and Sports, Mr. Mbaye, representative of UNFPA, my brother here with me, and representative of UNDP, and the UN Transitional Justice Project staff, our able Deputy Speaker of the National Youth Parliament, also here with us, the representative of the Regional Youth Committee, representative of different national youth organizations present here, persons with disability, young people from market, from the ghettos, children National Assembly members, our facilitators, and staff of National Youth Council, and all protocols duly and respectfully observed. The National Youth Dialogue is an initiative to create a platform for stakeholders, especially the different reform mechanisms established by the government of the Gambia, to directly interface with young people in all the regions of the country, so that they could provide the much needed feedback on the viability of these reform mechanisms, their sustainability, but also share with them their own perception in terms of the challenges and their recommendations. It is our hope that this feedback mechanism will not only contribute to citizen ownership of these reform mechanisms and the outcomes of these mechanisms, such as TRRC, CRC, the Security Sector Reform, and the National Human Rights Commission, but it will go a long way in helping our young people, who are the most active group in our communities, to have a proper and better understanding of how these mechanisms operate. It's in 2 days. Today is a capacity building, peer-led session, where we bring together young people who actually have an appreciable understanding of all these mechanisms to directly interface with their peers, that's the young people, to discuss with them and answer some of their key concerns, or also clarify if there is any doubt about any of these mechanisms, but equally guide the participants, that is you, on some of the key concerns that you might have and you would love to share with the stakeholders tomorrow. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this initiative is within the Youth Connect program. Youth Connect is an initiative that the Gambia government is implementing with UNDP, which focuses on giving young people spaces that is necessary for them to engage in policy discussions, program implementations, but also young people to be at the center of the social transformation we envisage. It's about policy harmonization, program integration and mainstreaming of youth, and ensuring that we are youth-focused and youth-driven. It is a continental-wide initiative which has been launched in the Gambia last year, and we hope that these conversations will continue to other parts of the country. Time is not on our side, but I want to finally use this opportunity to call on each and every one of you that this is a solemn opportunity to reflect about young people who are not able to make it here, that you are representing, and also get their perspectives so that you can ask the critical questions, but you can also make the critical contributions during these 2 days conversation. It is you that we rely on to provide feedback to these mechanisms, and we knew for a fact that we will not be disappointed, that you are going to represent us well. Again, I will say we should all adhere to the principle of learn and teach others. All the information and the facts you will gather here from these conversations, kindly ensure that when you leave here, you go and meet other young people in your communities and share this information with them. Once again, thank you for your kind attention as we continue with this conversation before tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lamin Dabo, the Executive Director of National Youth Council. He has now given us an overview of this very important program with regards to youth dialogue on these reforms we are working on. As he rightly said, young people are critical components when we come with regards to national development, and their genuine contributions towards this initiative is very welcoming. Notwithstanding, this program also has a direct link with the program that was launched in the Gambia last year, that's the Youth Connect, which is international youth movement launched in the Gambia through the support of the UNDP to make sure young people are part of social transformation, policy formulation to make better country. And in line with that also, as our responsibility, that is why key components are selected. Not everybody can be here. That call for very good feedback mechanism. Upon what we have learned here, we discuss with our peers in our various institutions and organizations, our youth group, both local and international, our entire voice to make sure everyone is part of this. These are national documents. National policies is our national responsibility. So we are very much grateful to have him as our executive director, always proactive to make sure the young people of this country are uplifted from one level to another. We thank you very much, Executive Director, for that introductory statement. Now, I would like to call Mr. Suleiman Marina from UNDP to give his statement. Mr. Marina. Can you please come here, Mr. Marina? The cameraman said, come, I can help you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the High Table, colleagues, the young people, village elders, and other protocols duly and respectfully observed. I stand here today in two capacities. First, in my capacity as a young, struggling African and Gambian, and also in my capacity officially as a staff of the United Nations Development Program and the coordinator of this event at the UN level. This event, that is the one that happens last week in KM, and the one that is happening here today, and the one that will happen next week, inshallah, in LRR, is indeed historic. And we are very proud as young people who have been in this struggle for years, trying to create such platforms for young people to have their voice in the decision-making processes. We will all agree that we, the young people, have been highly engaged in transforming conflicts, encountering violence, and building peace. But yet our efforts are largely invisible, unrecognized, and even undermined due to our lack of adequate participation, inclusion in these mechanisms, and also the opportunity to partner with decision-making bodies. which is why I would like to implore decision-making bodies to develop meaningful mechanisms for youth participation and leadership in decision-making at all levels, from local to international. We must also foster young people's leadership skills, creating an interdependent virtue cycle to shift the negative perceptions and discourse on the young people to partner in building peace and sustainable communities. At the level of the UN, our major purpose of organizing this event and such platforms, first, has to do with creating platforms where actors of young people, advocates of young people from different groups can come together in the same platform to have one voice so that their voices could be heard, so that this could foster unity among ourselves, so that we speak as one people, not as young people for the government and young people against the government, but as young people, as one, speaking a similar voice. Which is why in this convergence today, if you observe, you will realize that you have young people from various groups, including civil society and even private sector. It is also to create a platform where young people will participate in the governance processes to ensure that the stakeholders get positive feedback or direct feedback from our young people, whilst the young people also hold them accountable for issues that they were put to perform. It is also to bring the citizenry close to their government in order to bridge the communication gap that exists between the stake actors and the citizenry, particularly the young people. This will foster face-to-face conversations and debate, where even if we fail to agree, but at least we will all have that level of satisfaction that we were able to raise our concerns, and this will ensure peaceful coexistence. As I welcome you all to this event, I would like to reiterate the commitment of the UN, DP, and other UN sister agencies in collaborating and contributing with other actors in creating these platforms to ensure that young people's voices are heard in decision-making processes. Achieving the Agenda 2030 will require strong partnership between the young people and all stakeholders so that the challenges that are faced by the youth are addressed and recognized at all levels. As alluded to by Lamin, this program is indeed in conformity with the Youth Connect program that has been launched in the Gambia sometime October last year. The Youth Connect is a multi-dimensional program which was developed in Rwanda in 2012, which aimed to connecting young people in their role to becoming role models, peers, and resources, and also provide skills and economic opportunities. It is also a program that provides opportunity for African youth to unleash their creativity and leadership in civic, economic, and political spheres, aiming at mindset change and transformation. So indeed, we have no doubt in our mind, especially after we have seen these phenomenal results of Youth Connect in Rwanda, that investing in youth is a smart economic challenge which will lead to social peace and economic returns. On that note, I wish you all a successful discussion today and a dialogue with the stakeholders tomorrow, so that we all walk out of here tomorrow, at least with little satisfaction that we had made our voices heard and that we are given the space to contribute to these processes that affects our lives directly. I thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Marena from UNDP, for that wonderful statement. As he rightly said, UN, especially UNDP, are family friend to youth development in this country, together with the other UN families. So it is important, any issue regards to youth development, they take key part towards the development of that intervention. As he said, they are very key with regards to social transformation and creating platform that will make life and livelihood improvement, especially on the side of young people. So as young people, it is also our responsibility to play our part to make sure we achieve the predetermined goals and objectives. Thank you very much, Mr. Lamin Marena, for that brilliant and wonderful statement. I will now invite the Director of Planning and Programs on the Ministry of Youth and Sport, Mr. Musa Mbaye, to give his opening statement of this very important program. Mr. Mbaye, you are welcome.
Is it the picture or the message that is most important? Because this laptop, I cannot stand there to talk. I don't know. Okay, let's try and place this thing there. Let me place this. Let me try and place this. Yes, okay, thank you. Thank you very much, the Master of Ceremony, who actually happened to be my colleague and staff, responsible for coordinating youth and sport activities within this region. Fabakari, thank you so much. The Executive Director, National Youth Council, Mr. Lamin Dabo, our partners from the UN family, in the presence of Bakari Juara from UNFPA, Mama Job, UN Transitional Justice Project, of course, the last speaker, Mr. Lamin Marena. I also want to recognize Fatu M. Jao, the Deputy Speaker of the National Youth Parliament, our Honorable Commissioner, Honorable Yankuba Manjang, various structures of our youth community in West Coast region, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. I would first of all wish to commend the National Youth Council and the UNDP for organizing the National Youth Dialogue on the current reform process. The forum aimed at converging youth and duty bearers to discuss on the current process, such as the TRRC, the CRC, the HRC, the Human Rights Commission, and the National Security Sector reforms, to ensure safe, secure future for the nation. This convergence also enables the commissions to listen to the youth's feedback and come up with recommendations. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, from the onset, it should be acknowledged that Gambian youth are always involved on current development issues in the country. The government of the Gambia, for the first time in the history of our development efforts, has recognized and prioritized youth issues in our national development plan. And then priority number 7 of the NDP focuses on our young people. The fundamental question for you is how can young people effectively contribute in our collective drive shape the Gambia's democratic future? On 2nd December 2016, Gambians with great courage, determination, and dignity decided to take back their country following 22 years of dictatorship. This historic decision that ushered in the new Gambia has created a seismic shift in our country's trajectory, which also presents new challenges that need to be urgently addressed. The role of young people in shaping democracy in the Gambia requires a deep historic reflection stretching from the struggles of our forefathers against colonialism and the struggle of young people in the defeat of 22-year-old dictatorship in 2016. Therefore, the role of young people in shaping democracy today should not be seen as an isolated effort to ensure accountability and resistance to abuse of power. Rather, it should be seen as a continuity of struggles long conceived, even well before the birth of our independence. The Gambia is a party to many regional instruments, and in fulfillment of her obligations have adopted policies and laws to enhance youth participation in democratic processes. Article 89, 1B of the Constitution of the Gambia 1997 sets the minimum age limit to participate in parliamentary elections at 21 years. For presidency, Article 62, 1B sets the minimum age at 30 years. Moreover, Article 196 makes it mandatory on every Gambian to undertake national youth services after attaining the age of 18. In addition to the Constitution of the Gambia 1997, the government also adopted the National Youth Policy subsequent to the establishment of the National Youth Council in 2000. The purpose of the National Youth Council is aimed at enhancing participation of young people in national development. The role of young people in shaping democracy in the Gambia was crystallized in 2016 presidential election, when they rallied to elect a new leader that would pave the way for what would be the first democratic change of government in the history of the country since independence in 1965. This change did not only allow the new government of the Gambia to close a dark chapter of bad governance since 1994, but also presents an opportunity for renewed commitment to the respect of human rights and democracy. In light of that change, the new government of President Adama Barrow pledges to embark on a comprehensive constitutional reform to further consolidate democracy and human rights protection in the Gambia. In conclusion, distinguished participants, I am sure you will no doubt agree with me that the engagement and participation of youth in the election was unprecedented and critical. Beyond the 2016 elections, from civil society forums, government platforms, and on the streets, young people in the Gambia manifest a strong commitment and ethos to ensure that the new government in Banjul lives up to its commitment to democracy, good governance, and respect for human rights. The change of government ensured by young people has also led to the widening of the democratic space in the Gambia, where they are unhindered to hold government accountable through social accountability mechanisms. This has led to the formation of youth organizations that are contributing to the policy processes to proactively advance good governance, human rights, and democracy. Finally, on this note, I call on all young people of this great land to remain disciplined at all times, law-abiding, and above all, jealously guard the peace and stability of this Gambia, for which the whole world envy, so as to continue to consolidate democracy and human rights protection in the Gambia. For the Gambia, our homeland, we pledge our firm allegiance. I thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the Director of Planning and Programs on the Ministry of Youth and Sport, for that wonderful statement. As he rightly put it, with regards to the various milestones, since we are in new dispensation of government, the government is trying to come with all these reforms. I think it is very important as young people, we also take our responsibility as demanded. New dispensation also, sometimes we are talking about democracy. Democracy is good, but we have to be very careful not to abuse democracy. It is our rights as human right to have democracy, but it has limitations also with regards to us as young people. And young people, they are doing their best to make sure they are following all due process to have a better Gambia, and peace is very key. Discipline is the most important thing as far as young people is concerned. We don't normally say discipline is the mother to opportunity, which is the father, and they deliver success, that's the child. If you have discipline, you have everything. So we thank you very much for that powerful, wonderful statement given to us as a key stakeholders in development. Notwithstanding, I also like to acknowledge the presence of our media, both TV and printed media, GRTS, and all printed media present here. This marks the end of the official opening for these 2 days convergent. Friday prayer is almost done. We start with prayers, can we finally close with prayers? Bismillah. Thank you very much, and thank God it always also commensurate with our break time. From 2 o'clock to 2:30 is prayers and lunch. So from there, by 2:30, we have to come back. By 2:30, thank God we are able to do our peer-led session already. Now it's left with only one session for today. It's left with only one session today, but any development as we are come, we'll discuss, and make sure when we call to come back, be ready to come back. I thank you all. So we can prepare for Friday prayer. Thank you.